Looking for a way to photograph the area from the sky? Check out this S20 Lite drone. It's a good beginner drone for anybody who wants to start getting into flying with a little aircraft like this. So let's check it out. Let's see how it works. Now, this is the drone itself. It comes with the extra battery pack, as I mentioned. And the nice thing about it is you can charge up one battery pack and have one ready to go. So as you're flying, if you get power gets out on the drone, you can easily change out the battery. Now, something to note, this is the controller. It does not come with a battery pack. You have to add batteries in the back here. It's 3 AAA batteries, and you'll use the little screwdriver they give you to undo this screw and be able to change that out.
Flip it up, and then here's for your cell phone. No tablets, I would say, will fit in there. It's pretty small. You got your power button, you got your stop button, your land and takeoff button. This is your circle, makes the drone go in circles, not in a stable circle, and then your flip button. So, and then on the front side here, we have your zoom in and zoom out buttons over here to, I'm sorry, not zoom, tilt the camera. So while you're flying, you can tilt the camera. It's not on a gimbal or anything like that. And then over here we got our video button and our stills button. So those are the buttons on the controller. They simply just pop out.
That just gives you more
of a hand grip to hold on to.
Yep. So your cell phone will go up here. The power button, when you power it up, does it automatically pair?
Yeah.
With the drone?
Yeah, you just turn on and it pairs up.
Okay, cool. And then that stop button, you were saying?
Don't hit that unless you emergency. That turns off the propeller. So if you land this thing or crash it into a tree and the propellers are spinning in the tree, hit that stop button. It basically disarms or turns off the rotors on the drone. If you do that when it's flying, it'll just fall right out of the sky. So you don't want to do that unless you absolutely have to.
Some kind of emergency or whatever. Now, how do you get it to up? That little button here will automatically bring it down.
So with your takeoff and landing button, if you hold that down, it'll take off. It'll go up to about 4 feet and then hover. Same thing when you're landing. You want to get over your landing spot and you hold that button down, and it just comes down until it hits the ground. It doesn't really have much for obstacle sensors to know how close it is to the ground. It just basically lands itself. And then it shuts off the rotors.
So that's a good way to stop it if you don't want it to go further than where you're filming or where you're flying it.
If you're not comfortable landing it on your own, you can do that, but I always prefer to manually land things versus auto land.
Now let's talk about those little buttons here on the right and the
trick
left.
Buttons. So the trick button here, this is a flip. So you hit that button there, and then if you push forward or backwards or side on the sticks, it'll make the drone flip.
Oh.
So it does a little somersault.
You can show that in a little bit. We'll demonstrate it.
So that's a little trick button there. And then this one here, the drone basically just goes around a circle, but it doesn't hold position, so it kind of spirals off. So it's just a fun little trick thing, but it's really just for flying.
Now the left yoke, what is that used for?
The left one over here, now this turns the drone, so this yaws the drone right and left. It also does your raising up and down. Whereas this one over here is all your horizontal, so your forward, your backward, your some people say strife, but your rotate right and left. So those are what those controls are for. It's just like any other drone. They're pretty common controls. So here's the drone in comparison to your hand. It's about the size of your palm, and so it's pretty cute, pretty small. This is definitely more of a consumer or toy drone. So there's not much on here. We have 2 LED lights on the front here, which is for your just kind of visual to know where it's at. These are not FAA obstacle avoidance lights. They're way too dim for that. This is your gimbal not gimbal, sorry. This is your camera. The nice thing about it is that you can adjust the camera angle from your controller. So if you're flying the drone and it's pitching forward, you can pitch that camera up so you can see a little better, or if you want to look down, you can pitch the camera down while you're actually flying, which is very nice. A lot of consumer drones don't have a feature like that unless you get into the more expensive drones. So that's a very nice feature. It does have a downwards facing camera here, and so that does helps it hold position. Since this does not have GPS, that downward camera will look at the ground, so if you have any kind of texture down below, it'll use that texture to help hold that drone in position. So surprisingly, it does pretty good. So now we'll go ahead and open up the drone. With these little drones, you're going to open the top or the front arms first, and then the bottom or back arms. So we're going to fold these guys out until they click into place. So we're going to go out, and you'll see it's just going to kind of pop right into position. And then same thing with the back ones. They're just going to swing them around, and you'll see them just kind of pop right into position. Same thing with the other back one here. I'm going to bring it on around, and it's just going to pop right into position there.
And like you got to be careful when you fold it up. Don't want to break those little propellers.
Yeah, the propellers are kind of thin, so you do want to be careful of those, although they do give you spares in case, you know, you run into a tree or something like that. But yeah, they're nice. They're not fixed. They rotate. So pretty simple on that. And then you just basically have a flat surface to put it on. So you don't really want to take off in the grass. If you're in the grass like this, these props could be hitting the grass blades or weeds or whatever, especially like these back ones. They're a little bit lower. That can interfere with it taking off or landing. So get yourself a little landing pad. I like these circular ones. These are, I'm going to show you really quickly how to fold this up. This has got a metal spring on the inside there. You literally just take it and you just twist it right in like that.
Oh, nice and easy.
Very compact and easy. But the nice thing I like about this is that when it does open up, watch yourself, it's spring loaded, so it gives you tension on this landing pad. And that way, if you're on grass or you're on snow or whatever, that's kind of a soft surface, this gives you a little bit more tension to actually sit on. So when you have your drone sitting on there, it's nice and flat on there.
Yeah, perfect. So it's kind of like a drone landing pad.
Yep.
That's cool.
That's exactly what it is.
That does not come with this drone. You'll have to get that separate.
Separate, yep.
We're going to Bluetooth. It's the first thing you got to do.
Bluetooth.
Do we Bluetooth directly to the drone?
When you turn on the drone and the controller, they instantly pair up. They are going to be on a Wi-Fi signal, so your controller is going to have a stronger signal, can go further than your phone does. Since there's no USB on this controller to connect to your phone, you're going to actually Bluetooth from your phone to the drone as your monitor. So it's kind of nice because you don't have to worry about cables, but the downside is Bluetooth, you have an effective range 100, maybe 150 feet before that signal starts dropping, but your video signal will drop first before your controller signal should drop. So if you are flying it one direction and you lose, you know, signal to the video, just stop, walk that direction, let it reestablish connection, and then bring it back home. But just keep this guy close. He's not going to be one of those drones you can fly very far away with.
Because of that Bluetooth. And it doesn't have a gimbal either, so it's kind of looking at the sight from that camera when it's landing.
No return to home, so if you know, these are the kind of drones that do the flyaways. So you just want to be mindful and careful about that. Just, you know, this is for fun, to go out to a park, fly around, have fun. It's really a fun little drone to fly. That's really what it's for. So not much commercial application at all.
Cool. All right, so Bluetooth connection to the drone, and then you also have this unit right here has its own like signal as well.
Yep.
That goes a little bit further than maybe your Bluetooth will, so that it's kind of like an emergency. When you see this drop, you know that you've got to bring it down,
so
bring it back, whatever you got to do.
Can you get a shot of that? Without the sun?
Yeah, there you are.
So this is the front screen you're going to come to first, and once you have the controller and the drone on, then you'll just hit connect. All right, we're going to go ahead and turn the drone on first. So you just long press the button, and then it'll turn on and beep. When the light on the back here, I'll bring that up here, when that light is blinking, that means it's not paired. So that's fine. And then we'll go ahead, same thing with the controller. You're going to do a long press on that as well, and then lights will come on. They're flashing, and then now they're solid. So we got a solid light on the controller, solid light on the drone. Now they're both connected. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and connect our phone to the drone. So we hit the connection right here, and there we go. Actually, okay, since we did it last night, it's already good to go. So we're already connected. So here's our screen here. This is your SD card. Make sure you have that SD card sold separately in the drone. That'll let you take your photos and videos. So that shows you how much space you have left on the SD card.
And isn't that like a class 1 or class 10? What are they
Class
called?
10. You want to be at least a class 10. U1, class 10 is all you need to know.
Okay.
Because this is just it's a 4K camera, 2K video, so it's not going to require anything too fancy. Over here is your battery life. It doesn't really give you a percentage or anything like that. It has full, half, and then your low battery warning. So it's pretty basic on that icon there. When you get that low battery warning, it's going to start beeping at you. You got maybe just a couple minutes left on the drone. Get it down right away. You shouldn't be that far away anyways. This one here is your controller signal. So again, you should lose your Bluetooth signal on your phone before you lose the controller signal, but that could vary just depending on your Wi-Fi, or depending on the signal and Wi-Fi congestion in the neighborhood that you're flying in. Over here shows the drone. Oh, maybe that's the drone signal strength. So, and then this is your album button up here. So that's how you get to that. And then you have your back button to go back to the main screen up at the top there.
All right, so this is the drone at sunset. We set it up, kind of see how it does with the low light performance. We're pretty impressed with the fact that it kind of holds itself stable with that lower camera, being able to measure even in the darkness of the light. We grabbed a sunset photo, kind of cool. So when it's facing you, you have two lights, and then when it's away from you, I'll go ahead and show you. When it faces away from you, it's kind of one blue light, so you can always tell which direction it's aiming. It's kind of neat, but being Bluetooth activated, you do have to watch and make sure that the Bluetooth connection between your phone and the drone doesn't get lost by going too far away. It has no GPS to guide it back. But yeah, not bad for a little evening test. All right, and we'll be taking this up during the day tomorrow when you can see better in the good light. So when it gets to low battery, less than 25%, it beeps at you like it was just doing, and it puts red flashing. You want to land it right away. Don't let that battery get too low, or you'll lose your drone. Who knows where it'll end up.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and show you the auto takeoff. So I'm gonna come to the side here. You can see the drone off the side right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and hit the takeoff button right here, and that drone should start up. There you go. You can see it over there. Not touching the controllers, and see it goes up about 4 feet and then kind of holds itself. It does fluctuate a little bit since there's no GPS on there, but just give it a second, let it kind of settle in.
Okay, so now if you were to do this manually, what do you need to do?
All right, so if you want to manually take off, what you're going to do is you're going to just pull these sticks together in a V. So you're going to pull this one down to this corner, pull this one down to this corner here. So pull them to the down center, and that's going to arm the drone. And now the propellers are going.
Okay.
And then you want to go off, take off, you just hit the up arrow or up on this left stick, and that brings it up.
Because you're controlling it at this point, all manual, to bring it where you want it.
Oh yeah, it's just not taking off to us, you know.
When you take it off, when you bring it up manually, if you stop, let go of your pressure, it will just stay where it's at, pretty close, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, as soon as you let off the sticks, it just kind of hovers there. It does float a little bit, but it's going to mostly just hover for the most part.
So with that manual takeoff right there, it just kind of hovers wherever you stop applying pressure when you bring it up. Okay, and then it's just how you were showing if you do a flip, you can push that little button.
Push the button there, and then it's a little less stable, but it might lose a little altitude when you do that. One thing about this drone is it does seem to kind of float a little bit. So if I go forward on the stick there and then I let off, it's going to kind of go a little bit, and then it kind of pulls itself back a little bit. So it's kind of nice that it does a good job kind of holding position, but it does kind of go around a little bit as well.
So this is it hovering. We are not giving it any controls right now. It's just kind of staying in sort of in the same place where we stopped applying controls. And you can see it does a pretty nice job kind of staying put, although it can move just a little bit in the wind and whatever. It does a pretty good job trying to hold its position somewhat. There's, like you can see there, a little fluctuation, and it is also basing it on the camera underneath, kind of looking at the ground, so it can get a little confused depending on if there's something moving underneath it. Like I was doing just a second ago. I didn't quite go underneath, but I was giving you guys a view of it in the air. Neat little consumer drone. It's pretty fun.
Here, take a look at here. We do have another switch I didn't talk about. This is speed 1, speed 2. Just fly around at speed 1, probably be pretty safe. If you do get a gust of wind that starts taking the drone away, pop it over to speed 2. That'll give you a little bit more speed to power through that gust. But those are the two things there. If you're on a calm day, there's no gust of wind, you can probably fly around at speed 2 pretty safe. But that's a good safe, way to fly, is just to know you have that extra speed if you need it.
Cool.
There's full speed on speed 1. That's not very fast. Probably have 5-10 miles. That's pretty slow actually. 5-10 miles an hour. 5 miles an hour probably on speed 1. They're pretty slow. Speed 1 is really good for beginners when you're first trying to learn how to fly it. Wow, going backwards goes faster. All right.
So if you're bringing it back home, then maybe.
Yep.
That's why it
We'll
goes
throw it in
back.
speed 2. All right, we're in speed 2, and we'll see how. I'm gonna bring it down just a little bit so it's not so high.
Yeah, that'll
shooting
help.
into the sun. All right, we'll try this in speed 2 and see how it goes.
Oh yeah, you can see it's a lot faster.
Yep.
In speed 2. Pretty fun though.
Yeah, probably about 510, somewhere in there.
And it's out of sight for me on my camera right now, my phone.
It's in the view of the mountain, of the tree there. I'll come back.
I can hear it. There it is.
It's also a very quiet little drone, so this is not a very nuisance, flying it around. Most people are not going to even know you're really flying it unless you ride over them, so it is very, very quiet little guy.
Oh, neat looking. It's really cool. Great. Now, do we want to show some more things that you can do with the drone? Like take a picture, or does it do a video?
It does video. I mean, you can maybe see on the screen here, it's kind of a little shaky, so if you're going to try to take video with this, just kind of fly it slow and give it easy on the sticks, not full throttle. You can get some decent shots with that. So if you're gentle with it, it's not too bad. It actually does all right. If you're giving it full throttle right away and jerking the drone around, you're going to have shaky footage, very shaky footage. So, and just remember, there's no GPS on this unit, so if you fly it out and get lost where the drone's at or lose your orientation, you need to be able to see where that drone is at. So,
yep.
so when you do a flip, don't do it too close to the ground. It is going to lose a little altitude. We'll go to the right this time, see how this does. Whee!
Oh yeah, there it is.
There it is.
Yep, there it goes, bouncing around.
Not too bad. We'll bring it back.
Fun. Cute little drone.
Yeah, it's a fun little drone. Let me take a picture of Pikes Peak. People love Pikes Peak, so let me see if I can. I don't know. We'll have to do some editing on this because we're got that crosswind. We have 4-mile-an-hour winds with a 9 gust is what we're flying in.
So he's snapping some pictures. We're going to try to get Pikes Peak right here.
Yep. Nice shot there. Let me see if I can go up a little bit. Take a picture of this. Okay, reached. There you go. Okay, it's actually letting me know. Okay, so it's letting me know how high I can go. So about 50 feet is giving me a warning on height. I think it's because the camera on the bottom, you get much higher than that, it's losing its stabilization functionality.
Oh yeah, because it's got to be able to see the ground.
Yep.
And it's showing what the camera is seeing.
There are the 2 buttons over here. This is to raise and lower the camera. So if I point out that playground over there, we're aiming the drone into the wind, so it's kind of tilting a little bit forward. So I can move that camera down.
Oh,
if
yeah.
you want to point it down to see what's below you, there's our landing pad.
Yep.
Or you can tilt it back up. A lot of consumer drones don't give you that functionality. They're just manual move. Oh, we got the low battery warning now. So there we go. It's starting to beep because we're now at probably the last 20%.
All right,
battery.
we're going to bring that sucker down.
Yep. Bring her
Nice. I'm glad you got to show that.
Yep.
It's just so hard to, when the sun's glaring, to see what it's showing on your screen. All right, well, now to bring it home, what do we do?
Well, there is no home, so you just bring it back to where you're going to be and then land.
Like if you're going to land on the landing pad, do you put it over the pad and then hit?
If you were, I'm going to land on the underneath the cement here.
Because it give us a little more room?
It's not, there's a little crosswind right now, so it's not want to come straight down, it's want to drift on me, so trying to land it on that pad there's a little bit on the tricky side. Let's go back to speed 1. So we can try it, but that crosswind is kind of making it a little hard to make that small target on the landing pad.
I see.
We have probably a 5 to 10 mile an hour wind, so the nice thing is that if you manually do it versus doing it by the auto land, you have a little more. Yeah, I can't even get there.
A little more control, maybe.
A little more control, but it's still. There
it's
you
still
go.
There you go.
Just bring it down.
Trying to fish a little bit.
Lined out, just bring it down.
No, he did it. You made it right here. Didn't have to go on the cement. But yeah, that might make it easier if you've got a big cement pad. Then you don't have to worry about
sidewalk, street, anything like that.
If you've got any little cross breeze.
One thing I will point out though, be careful about what surface you're landing on. Since it does have that little camera here on the bottom, if you notice it kind of protrudes a little bit on the bottom there. There's no real feet on this guy. I mean, there's these feet here and that. You might have, I don't think it's even a 1/4 of an inch, more like a 1/8 of an inch between this camera and your landing gear. So you're going to have hardly any know if you can see that with your camera,
Any
Christy.
protection,
Hardly any
yeah.
protection for that camera. It's almost on the ground. So be careful where you're landing. If it's rocky, if it is asphalt that has the rough surface, you can land that little camera on a rock and then you just lose your bottom camera. So be careful where you're landing. That's why these landing pads are nice to use.
Oh, very good point. Glad you brought that up. Well, there you go. There's the Ameta drone. Have a lot of fun with it. We think it's a nice little consumer starter drone for anybody wanting to start getting into drone flying.
It's a great little drone to practice on, fly. It's not too expensive, so if you have an accident with it, it's not too bad. And it's so lightweight. I mean, this thing's got to be under 250 grams. So it's very lightweight. Do you know what the weight is of it?
I don't. It's probably on the listing.
Under 250 grams. You don't have to register with the FAA, which is nice. And then, but one thing that the FAA is requiring, strongly recommended, is if you are a consumer, even if you're not flying commercially, they have this test called the trust test. You can take it. It's a lifetime. You just take it once. It just teaches you the basic information about airspace. So I highly recommend taking that. You shouldn't have to pay anything for it. It's free. I took mine at Pilot Institute, and that was a great place. It just helps me learn about the airspace I'm flying in. So we're going to talk a little bit about drone safety here. One issue I see with these little drones is they don't have a lot of wind tolerance. So people will take these drones up. They won't think about how breezy it is outside. They'll go up like 50 feet. And one thing to keep in mind is that surface wind is usually less than atmospheric wind, and the atmospheric wind could vary at different heights depending on what your obstructions or obstacles are around you. Here we got houses and trees, so you go up probably 75, 100 feet in this area, you'll probably start getting into that more atmospheric wind, which is where the winds will be a little stronger. Now, I checked on my app UAV forecast to see what our wind speeds were. We have a stable 4-mile-an-hour wind right now with a gust of 9 miles an hour. Seeing that this drone's top speed is going around 10 miles an hour, I wouldn't suggest flying this drone anything more than 10-mile-an-hour gusts. So what I see happens a lot of times, people take off, a gust of wind, they get up in a higher wind, a gust of wind will grab it, and then the drone cannot overcome that wind to get back. So keep an idea of what the weather conditions are going to be for the day when you go out to fly. Have fun, but do watch those wind conditions to make sure that you're not flying where it's too breezy. Today it's very calm. It's not that windy at all, but you can see that even when I was flying against that wind, 4 to 9 mile an hour wind, it was struggling, even in speed 2. So just fly on calm days, have fun, and just watch that wind. If the wind does catch it, obviously it'll carry it outside of your controller signal, and then that's how you have a flyaway. The drone will probably try to hover, but it doesn't know. It has no GPS, so it's just going to be hovering in the wind, and that can carry it into airports and other dangerous areas.
And you can't even go more than 50 feet without it losing orientation because of that camera.
It was giving me a warning at 50 feet high because I bought downward facing camera. And then when I was flying towards the trees over there, I would say I got about 100 feet away, and my signal on my Bluetooth on the phone started to break up. So that's about my limit where I wanted to do it, because it's so small. You get out that far, you start losing your orientation of the drone and not know which ways it's facing without having your camera view. So try to keep it around a 100-foot circle around you, and you should be pretty safe with that.
Nice. All right, good drone safety tips. Well, you would know, you're an FAA safety representative,
Yeah.
so you know all the rules about that.
Yep.
Fantastic. All right, well, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, so now we're just going to put the drone away.
Yep. When we power it off, it's hard to see in the sunlight, so I would do this in the shade. There's a blue LED light here. When you just hold the button down, that light would turn off. There's no beep or anything like that to let you know it's off. It just turns off. Controller will start beeping when you do that to let you know it's not connected. But other than that, that's how you turn it off. And then for folding the arms, because you have these little landing legs on the front arms, you always want to do your back arms first, and then you fold your front arms after that. So we're going to take these back arms, put the propellers together, fold it in like that. Other side right here, grab our propellers, fold it in like that. And now I'll turn around this way here. Now we can grab our propellers, fold it in, grab the propellers, fold it in, so that way you're not accidentally breaking one of those, but then you just, there you go. Pretty much just like that. Small little tiny guy.
Nice. All right.